This Hunter build is the key to destroying endgame content. Whether you intend to play as a team in Nightfalls or want to go solo flawless in a Master Lost sector whilst 20 under the recommended power level, then this build is for you. Now I'll be using Anarchy in the background with this build, but this build isn't designed for specific individual weapons, so you can use anything you want to completely master this build for the weapon you intend to use. And I'll give you some suggestions as we go along, but the main focus of this build is to be able to go into crazy fights with tough enemies that could essentially kill you in a few shots, deal your DPS, and then just get the hell out of there safely and fast. This build is designed for Season 14, Season of the Splicer, but it's also universal, so you can use it in any season you're playing. I'll note the changes in the setup, but now guys, as usual, rate, comment, sub, share, and intro. Firstly, before we start, the playlist is below if you want to see more awesome builds like this. So with this build, we will be getting a few benefits that will help us in all activities regardless. So if you are someone that just wants to complete every activity easily, then this build will definitely do the job, because you will have almost infinite invisibility dodges, which also means you won't have to reload as much. But this is your updated Season 14 version of my previous solo ability build with a few slight changes and improvements. And this is my main build I use when I play as a hunter, when I'm not constantly changing between builds to make these videos. So taking a look at the setup for the loadout, you can use anything of your preference, but you will need weapons that will be relevant to the activities, match, game and champions. So going with a Master Lost Sector and Warden of Nothing Nightfall, I'd be using a Succession Sniper, although currently I'm using a Vault Glass one, the Vision Scout and an Anarchy. Ideally, you will use a combination of a Sniper and a Scout Rifle, regardless of what slot they are in, but you would ensure that the energy weapon is suitable for the match game shields of the activity you're playing. If you're playing solo and there's overloads, replace the Sniper with a weapon that has overload rounds and equip a suitable heavy weapon for your DPS. Each Legend and Master Lost sectors have a plus 50% damage modifier for a certain element, so don't forget to take advantage of that as well. Now for your heavy weapon though, if you don't have Anarchy, then other good options are Xenophage, Deathbringer, any legendary rocket or grenade launcher, but preferably you will use a grenade launcher for Season 14, as we currently have mods to improve our DPS for this weapon type. Anarchy is preferred though. Moving into the subclass, we are using a top tree Tether, Way of the Trapper, which comes with Vanishing Step, where dodging makes you vanish from sight for a short time. This is what our build is focused around primarily, but with this, throw in a Vortex Grenade and a Marksman's Dodge so that we can reload when we go invisible, which is great if you're using weapons like a rocket launcher or grenade launcher for your heavy weapon for Boss DPS. It's actually also great if you need to reload to restun a champion. But moving to our exotic armor, we're going to be using a 6 Coyote, and we'll get to that shortly, but if you don't have this, your other best choice for this build is Graviton Forfeit. Both are really going to help with maximizing our invisibility effects. But going into the helmet mods, we have Powerful Friends, specifically for the plus 20 mobility, as we want to have max mobility for our dodge to come back as quick as possible. And because we're using this, we also need to slot on the hands-on mod, which will give us bonus super energy on melee kills, so not too bad, an extra bonus. Although only slot on Powerful Friends if you really need to in order to reach 100 mobility, so if you can manage without it, then don't use it. But on top of this, slot on your heavy weapons ammo finder mod. For me, that's Grenade Launcher Ammo Finder. For the gauntlets, we have Shield Break Charge, which is our first of 3 Becoming Charge Light mods. And this, along with the other mods we slot on shortly, will really benefit you in the end game content, as, you know, breaking a shield is probably the easiest thing. So we'll get a Charge Light stack in doing so, and then because we'll be using a Firepower mod, we will also have increased damage, which uses 1 stack. So break the shield, easy, become Charger Light, then that gives you extra DPS to finish off the kill. But with our gauntlets, you also want to slot on the champion mods that you need, and there's enough points to slot on all and any mod that you will need. For the chest, we are of course using 6 Coyote, which is pretty simple to explain. It gives us an extra dodge. Man, I love it when an exotic is that simple. But the mods we'll be using are Taking Charge to become Charge of Light on all pickups, Concussive Dampener, which will help us in those fights where there's a lot of splash damage, and then your Ammo Reserve mod for, again, your heavy weapon. For the legs, we are using High Energy Fire, as I previously mentioned. That will give us extra weapon DPS, consuming 1 stack of Charger Light when the enemy is defeated, and this is great in endgame content because we all know that a Master and Grandmaster ad takes almost a full clip of your weapon just to kill them, so this should really help out with those kills. Alongside this though, slot on your Heavy Weapons Scavenger mod, and lastly for the class, we're running Empowered Finish to become Charger Light on finisher kills, which consumes super energy. Use this only if using the next mod here, Breach and Clear, because this will weaken enemies, and it pretty much makes your tether pointless as they don't stack, but ideally you'll be performing a finisher right before doing Boss DPS to activate your high energy fire mod, and then use your heavy grenade launcher to weaken enemies for extra DPS. This mod is only available for season 14, so switch it out and adjust to what you have available when you are watching this video. If you want to maximize your dodge and invisibility regen, then slot on those cooldown mods for that instead. And speaking of cooldowns, make sure you get your mobility to max, which is 100, so that we can get our invisibility dodges back a lot faster. Now overall with this build, I'd rate it a 10 out of 10 because firstly it's my favourite build and I always use this when I'm doing harder activities or when playing solo, and second, it really just saves you in so many situations by having that invisibility dodge ready at all times. So you can just deal DPS, and if you're getting swarmed by ads or taking heavy fire, then just dodge and regen your health and then go back into the action and repeat. It's definitely one of the best hunter builds in the game in my opinion, but let me know what you think down below because I'd love to hear it, and what your top builds in Destiny 2 are. Anyway, that is all for this one. Next you guys should go check out the never ending growing playlist for all the top builds this season. It's linked below and there is a card in the top right. But for now, try this build out and tell me what you think. Leave a rating, subscribe and share this with all your buddies, and I'll see you all shortly for the next one.